Observability technology, popularly called stealth today. One of the first aircraft to incorporate low observability technology was the Ryan Fire-B unmanned reconnaissance drone. Surfaces which reflected radar strongly, such as the rotating blades of its jet engine, were hidden deep inside the airframe. This tiny robot spy plane also incorporated a new type of material as its skin, called RAM, for radar absorbent material. RAM soaks up radar energy like a sponge, preventing it from reflecting back to the radar. Tests found that these drones reflected radar energy so weakly that they had become virtually invisible to radar. In the 1960s, another spy plane appeared in the U.S. Air Force Service, the legendary Lockheed SR-71. The SR-71 was one of the first manned aircraft to employ stealth, low observability technology. The SR-71 was not invisible to radar, but its use of radar absorbent material helped reduce its visibility. Another example of the impact of low observability technology is the B-1 bomber. The original version of the B-1, the B-1A, had a radar cross-section of 1 square meter, 10 times less than the older B-52. Due to the threat posed by new advances in radar-guided missiles, it was redesigned with additional low observable features as the improved B-1B. The B-1B version had a radar cross-section of only about 1/10 of a square meter, 1/100th that of the older B-52 bomber. The improvement between the B-1A and the B-1B hinted at the potential of this new advance in the Wizard War. The question was, if low observability technology could reduce the visibility of aircraft, could it actually make them disappear? In 1978, the United States Air Force contracted the famous Skunk Works at Lockheed Aircraft to begin design of a stealth strike fighter, codenamed Senior Trend. Unlike the SR-71 or the B-1B, the Senior Trend would be designed from the ground up with low observability features. Tests had shown that by carefully shaping the contours of the fuselage, the aircraft's radar cross-section could be reduced dramatically. This resulted in the very unusual shape of the Senior Trend, later named the F-117A. The first flight of the F-117 took place in June 1981. The program was so secret that pilots recruited for the program were not told their actual assignment. It was cloaked under a fictitious program to improve the avionics on the A-7 attack aircraft.
When I entered the program, what I was told was I was going to be doing avionics testing on A-7s. And that's the premise we went in. And we were...
In order to do that, a lot of off-the-shelf equipment had to be taken. As to the exact percentage, I couldn't comment on that, but I will give you a couple of examples. The flight control system, we said, is the F-16 flight control system. The ejection seat is the ACES-2 ejection seat, the same one that's in the F-15, F-16, A-10. The environmental control system is partially out of a C-130. The engines are GE both on a known capability and a known reliability and maintainability side.
By 1983, the first stealth fighters were in service. Their pilots quickly dubbed them the Black Jet.
Those of us in the unit, since most of us came in the unit before we could even whisper the word stealth or F-117, have
minimizes the reflection of radar energy. Another common source of strong radar reflections is the cockpit. On ordinary aircraft, the radar travels through the plexiglass canopy and reflects off the many objects inside the cockpit. On the F-117, the canopy is coated with a special metallic material to prevent the radar energy entering the cockpit. Another source of strong radar reflection is the wing-mounted missile pylon. So on the stealth fighter, the missiles are carried inside the aircraft in a special bomb bay in the belly. Even ordinary straight panel lines can reflect radar energy. So on the stealth fighter, the majority of the aircraft is covered with special radar video image of the Earth below him, even on the darkest, moonless nights. Ground attack missions have always been the most dangerous combat assignments. In an age of radar-guided anti-aircraft missiles, they've become even more so. The role of the F-117 Black Jet is designed specifically for this mission. Its specialty is the most challenging night attack. It is designed to sneak into enemy airspace without being detected and to attack pinpoint targets with laser-guided bombs and precision-guided missiles.
The F-117 is a...
The F-117 Black Jet is flown by an elite group of pilots of the 37th Tactical Fighter Wing. The pilots were handpicked not only because of the secrecy of the program, but because of the demanding nature of night attack flying. The wing commander describes the qualifications for Black Jet pilots.
The qualifications are very, very strict. We look for fighter pilots who have a minimum of 1,000 hours of fighter time. Consequently, you'll find that we have no lieutenants in the outfit flying the airplane, captains and above. They also have to come recommended by their wing leadership, their commanders or their directors of operations. And then we go through a screening process to make sure that the qualifications are covered. The airplane turns just like any other aerodynamic vehicle. When you have to turn, aerodynamics make you have to bank the aircraft to turn the airplane. It's not like a train that can go around the tracks like that. You have to turn it. And it flies just like any other airplane at all. There are no other specific characteristics. It is a very, very easy airplane to fly. As I said this morning, it has flying characteristics of any other fighter I've flown, and have no difficulty flying the airplane, and you don't have to adapt anything different to fly the airplane.
The way the aircraft flies, it flies, I don't know, it flies great. You can't see much of the fuselage, as you can imagine, from up front in the cockpit. Feels like you're on the tip of the spear as you're out flying. All I can say is...
The low observability designed into the B-1B bomber made it far less visible to radar than older bombers. Could the technology be taken further? In the late 1970s, the United States Air Force set out to prove it could be done. The results are evident in this very exotic aircraft, the Northrop B-2 Advanced Technology Bomber. Although precise information is still classified, the B-2 is believed to have a radar cross-section an order of magnitude less than the already stealthy B-1B. Although similar in size to the older B-52 bomber, the B-2 is probably several hundred times less visible to radar. It is impossible to make an aircraft totally invisible to radar, but its radar cross-section can be reduced to such an extent that its radar reflection cannot be distinguished from normal background radiation. It has been suggested that the B-2 has a frontal radar cross-section similar to that of a large insect, such as a bumblebee. The additional stealth capabilities of the B-2 were sought because of the radars. The map here shows how far each radar can see when searching for a conventional aircraft such as the B-52. The bomber cannot get through the radar line without being seen by at least one of the radars. The features added to the B-1B reduces the effectiveness of such a barrier by decreasing the range at which the bomber could be detected. This creates gaps through which the B-1B can pass undetected. Such a radar net is even less effective against the B-2 bomber, since there are even larger gaps in their coverage. What cannot be seen by radar cannot be targeted by radar-guided missiles.
Everything that we've done so far in flight test has been very close to what we predicted in our simulation. The cockpit is very friendly. It's similar to a FB-111 where you have side-by-side seating, so it cuts down a lot of intercom traffic that you have in other large airplanes. This airplane is very compact and it moves in unity. The pilot really feels that he's part of the airplane as he goes through his maneuver. So in that respect, it's more like a fighter. I remember one particular thing on Flight 3, I put the throttle to just below max continuous thrust. The airplane just accelerated away, and it really caught the chase airplanes by surprise. They just couldn't believe that this big an airplane could accelerate that fast. That Jets is an airplane that really wants to fly.
Reveal another aspect of stealth technology. Since these designs so effectively counter radar detection, an enemy force might be tempted to use another means to determine their location. Sound detectors, tested in combat since World War I, have proven to be largely ineffective. The most likely candidate as a backup sensor is the infrared detector, which picks up heat differences between the aircraft and the natural background. As in the case of radar, infrared technology can also be used for missile guidance, with missile homing in on the hot exhaust gases of a jet engine. The F-117 Black Jet uses an infrared detector instead of radar. Soviet fighters, such as the MiG-29 and the Sukhoi 27, use infrared detectors to supplement their radar, and are armed with both radar-guided and have led to a stiff price tag. The B-2 advanced technology bomber is currently estimated to cost over $500 million apiece, making it the most expensive warplane ever proposed for series production. And the YF-23 advanced tactical fighters.
Потому что тепловая, пока не коснется, она не целая. Ну,
I'd like to thoroughly enjoyed talking to you this morning, and I'd like to hand over to Brian Walker.
It wasn't, curiously, it wasn't as good an aeroplane as the B-24.
Point 3 inch machine gun combined with the propeller disc. It had a top speed of around about
Name of the Vic Norman's aeroplane, and you may notice something strange about it because he's actually facing backwards.
carrying on. Doubly with the 109. These Spitfires closing. Big tight as the Spitfire now gets on the tail.